All right, man. Before we even start, Obama really sat on Colbert, looked at America directly in the face, and said, presidents should influence prosecutions. What?
Look, I don't think our criminal justice system should be politicized. I wish that President Obama had talked to Attorney General Merrick Garland and President Biden about that point. They prosecuted a former president of the United States, then Donald Trump, now President Trump. And not only was he a former president of the United States, he was a current candidate for president running against Attorney General Garland's own boss. So I remember at the time thinking that this is a slippery slope. He's
also under his presidency, right, Senator? Russiagate was launched with President-elect Trump and into President Trump's first term under the administration of President Obama.
Well, I think that's a fair point. I don't want our prosecutorial system, our criminal justice system, to be politicized. I agree on that point. But where was President Obama when President Biden and Merrick Garland started this stuff? Two wrongs don't make a right, but they do make it even. Seems to be the mantra in Washington, D.C., and I don't like it.
John Kennedy hit that man with, I wish Obama would have told Merrick Garland that. See? That's the line people been waiting to hear. Because Democrats keep acting like Americans imagine, the last 8 years. Like people hallucinated raids, indictments, investigations, walls closing in, the famous mugshot, court dates every other Tuesday. And now suddenly, guys, the DOJ should stay independent from Obama. Bro. Man, and Kennedy, he got this delivery where he sounds polite, but spiritually he just hits you with a folding chair, essentially. But then the internet does what it always does. Took that one clip. Well, they took that one clip and reopened 47 other conversations Democrats were praying stayed buried.
The documents contain emails, allegedly, from the senior vice president of the George Soros Open Society Foundation. He quotes a Clinton campaign advisor saying, quote, "It will be a long-term affair and to demonize Putin and Trump," and adds that, quote, "later the FBI will put more oil into the fire," unquote. Other emails reveal Hillary Clinton approved the idea of tying Trump and Russia to election interference. And that was a scheme hoping the allegations would distract people from her own email scandal. These documents provide clear evidence that Hillary Clinton's campaign was behind the Russia hoax and that the FBI knew what the Clinton team was up to, acknowledging that the info they were receiving about the Trump campaign may have come from the Clinton camp. Despite this, the Obama intel community forged ahead with their 2017 assessment, concluding that Russia aspired to help Trump win the election.
See, this right here is why people stop trusting cable news. Not because everybody believes every theory online, but because the media milked Russiagate so aggressively that people got fatigued. Bro, every week felt like, this is the end. Trump's finished. Bombshell report. Democracy hanging by a thread. All that. Of course, you got CNN out here sounding like they announcing, or media like CNN or CBS and MSN announcing, asteroid impacts when they talk about Trump. And years after that, people look back now like, wait, what actually happened though? And that's the real issue. Not even politics, just exhaustion. Because once people feel emotionally manipulated, they stop trusting the narrators completely. And Democrats still don't understand how much damage that did. Especially when they spend years calling anybody skeptical. Crazy, dangerous, conspiracy theorists. Now folks revisit this stuff out of pure irritation alone. But then this popped up and personally offended. This guy got personally offended by Obama's memory.
Technically, the norm is that it's independent.
The idea is that the Attorney General
is the people's lawyer. It's not the president's consigliere.
That's rich enough now to pucker your face. Our current president had plenty of political prosecutions targeting him. You have the Russia probe in 2016, which started when Obama was still in office. Trump was federally charged in the election and document cases, both dismissed. And don't forget the local lawfare, the Manhattan criminal case related to record keeping, and the New York Attorney General suing him over his business practices. But never mind that. Obama says he would love a Republican Party that believes in the rule of law.
That's rich enough to pucker your face. Yeah. Honestly, man, I think it hit me because Obama sounded so serious saying it. Oh, my God. Well, he sounded, so serious responding to Obama. Look, I got to get myself together. I just woke back up. I took a little nap. But that's what made this hilarious online, because people... I seen that clip, and they were, sir, what is wrong with you? What are you saying? Sitting there, okay. And you got Colbert sitting there nodding like, it's some ground-breaking moral discovery. Bro, y'all were outside for all of this. That's why the reactions right now from this is getting traction, not because everybody suddenly became Republican overnight. People just hate selective morality. That's it. Americans can handle disagreement. What drives people insane is when politicians suddenly act brand new after years of chaos. That's the part voters remember. And Newsmax basically said, they basically looked at this whole interview and said, yeah, Obama, he's not retired at all.
This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy.
Very important yet underreported moment in the 2024 campaign, the debate, overlooked by a lot, but that was so key. He's right. And they're still saying horrible things that could, I think they want him dead. And they are still poisoning the atmosphere, right? Now, President Trump, how many attempts has it been now? A lot. And how many times have they tried to lock him up? A lot. And they pretend that he is the threat, and they're not. The Democrats, the media, the establishment, that this was all legitimate. It wasn't legitimate. It was terrible. And their words and their language and their hyperbole and the rhetoric leads to this. And you know who's the prime driver behind it all? Barack Obama, baby. And he is at it. He is at it. He's back in the news, I think, for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's bored. He walked into a classroom about 2 weeks ago in New York City, and none of the first graders knew who he was, right? They were born post his presidency, and they didn't care. Just like I didn't care when, Lyndon Johnson, who cares, right? So he wants to be in the mix again, right? Making money. He was doing it all off on the side. I call him conspirator number one. This guy was pulling all the strings regarding the Russia hoax and so much more. It's all suspicious. Even his staying in Washington, D.C. after the presidency. No president does that, and he's still there. In addition to Hawaii, Europe, Martha's Vineyard, and the rest. So he said some interesting things. This was supposed to be a softball interview, and it was, but he revealed himself, okay? Sits down with Colbert, and they do this whole big, extravaganza. They walk around the museum, they do this, they do that. At one point, I swore they were holding hands. Anyway, watch this.
What powers do you believe the president should not have?
Well, there are a couple that I followed even though they weren't law. And I want us, we're going to have to do some work to return to this basic norm, and we probably now have to codify it. The White House shouldn't be able to direct the Attorney General to go around prosecuting whoever the president wants to prosecute.
Right, because technically it's under the executive branch.
Technically,
the norm is that it's independent.
The idea is that the Attorney General is the people's lawyer. It's not the president's consigliere.
So it's interesting. He says he wants to codify it. He wants to do something that the Constitution says you can't do. The Constitution, the president is the executive branch. The Department of Justice is not mentioned in the Constitution. It's interesting. All throughout this interview, he expresses frustration with this document. And, you know, people applaud like seals, right? It sounds good. Oh, yeah, you shouldn't have that. No, that's bad. You can't have a president, you know, have power. You can't have that. But watch this.
Two of the core principles of a democracy. Yeah, we can survive a lot. Bad policy, funky elections. There's a bunch of stuff that, you know, we can overcome. We can't overcome the politicization of the criminal justice system, the awesome power of the state. You can't have a situation in which whoever's in charge of the government starts using that to go after their political enemies.
He is saying right now that we can survive anything except what President Trump, he says, is doing right now, going after his political enemies, which, oh, by the way, you know, you can characterize it like that. What happened to him? What did you guys do to him? You think this was on the up and up? It wasn't, okay? But the interesting thing is President Trump does have the power, and Biden actually had the power as well. They lied. They pretended that they weren't exerting it, but they were.
Information. Truth.
Yeah. You see, this part's bigger than Trump. You know, this is about Obama's role inside, you know, Democrat politics now. Because even after leaving office, Obama still carries huge influence with Democrats, media figures, donors, younger politicians. He's still culturally powerful for them. So every time he publicly jumps back into political conversations, you know, I'm sure a lot of people view it like Obama's back in the control room. That's the perception. And honestly, the Colbert interview probably is supposed to feel reflective and presidential, but instead it reopened every unsolved argument from Russiagate, Trump prosecutions, media bias, DOJ fairness, political double standards. That's why one side online treated this interview like a gold mine. But then Obama accidentally revealed something else too. Not just how Democrats see Trump, right? But where Democrats might be headed next politically.
Another thing Obama did in his interview, besides attack Republicans, because he is the most divisive president we've ever had. I think way more divisive than people think Trump is. He's the one that fueled race wars in our country when he started attacking the police, and I'm not going to get into that. But he praised Mandami, said he was the future of the party, said he loved Mandami. Mandami was so wonderful. Mandami just wants to make things affordable. Now, I thought Obama was a capitalist. I thought Obama was that's what he ran on, right? But he's trying to stay relevant, right? He's trying to stay the kingpin of the Democratic Party. So he has to go further left to meet the moment. And so now Obama is embracing socialism and communism that Mandami is pushing. The same Mandami that is running billion-dollar corporations out of New York because he just started another war with another billionaire that's leaving and going to Miami because he made a video with his name and where he lived. And now the dude is getting threats and everything else. He's attacking the people with money in his party. He's making his liberal base upset. He's building homeless shelters in their neighborhoods. He's raising property taxes on the poor. The poor that elected him are mad because now he's raising their property taxes. There are no free buses. He's going into the teachers' pension plan, and his approval rating is at 43%, lower than Eric Adams was around the same time. So his socialist experiment is failing and falling apart. Yet Obama is praising him, saying he's a moderate. The Mandami is a moderate, really. He's not really a Democrat, so he's not really crazy and loony like we think he is. He's not really a communist like that said he wants to seize the means of productions and going after people with money and wants to take everybody's money and give it all to the poor, like Robin Hood. This is why I dislike Obama. I respect him, what he did, but I don't like him. because he knows socialism is crap. He knows. He didn't run a socialist campaign. He didn't push, besides Obamacare, which was trash.
Now, this part is important because Obama praising Mamdani tells you what kind of Democrat energy the party, interested in move toward. Mamdani represents younger progressive politics, activist style messaging, anti-establishment tone, more direct populist language. And Obama specifically praising the plain English approach matters because Democrats realized something after 2024, right? People are tired of these politicians sounding super corporate. That's why Obama saying, whatever he said, no gobbledygook, basically. They trying to sound more normal now, more direct, less robotic. But I mean, we hear this and basically go, oh, okay. So now y'all want to sound relatable after talking like, textbooks for the last 10 years. That's why these clips are funny to people. At the center of the whole story is one real thing, and that's just memory. That's it. Obama made a point about DOJ independence that on paper sounds reasonable, but politically, people don't hear that statement in a vacuum. They attach them to past events, past investigations, media behavior, the prosecutions, election cycles, public trust, ultimately. And that's why this interview exploded online. Because half the country, Obama sounded principled. To the other half, he just sounded like somebody giving fire safety lectures while basically holding a flamethrower. And that disconnect is modern American politics in a nutshell. So, if you made it to the end of this video, I want you to write convenient wisdom. Other than that, y'all be safe. Go check on somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life.